up and get your joy up. Embrace this brand new day. Let light and love fill you up. Get your morning cup of Jubilee. So much goodness waiting, so much overflow. All this anticipation. Morning cup of Jubilee. Faith, love, and joy, the equation. Feeding your soul, you're amazing. Daily you're celebrating. Morning cup of Jubilee.
So, Jubilee, what was it like to realize that your reality as a wife and mother did not match your dream that you had for your family?
Wow. Realizing that my reality didn't match my dream was really heartbreaking because I was raised to be a wife, raised to be a mother, raised to be faithful, to serve, to honor, and to know that I, quote unquote, did everything by the book, right? I waited until I got married to have sex. I waited till I got married to have children, and definitely, had the dream of wanting to be a full family, be a healthy family, husband, wife, mother, father, raising children, in a godly home. And it happened for a few years, and then it came crumbling down. So it was heartbreaking, and I most definitely felt like a failure because I'm like, what exactly am I doing or not doing that has caused, my marriage, my life to end up in this place? Like, I did the things, I read the scriptures and fasted and prayed and sought wise counsel and, attempted therapy. I ended up continuing therapy on my own because, it's not something that my ex-husband really subscribed to. Or wanted to do faithfully to get us to a place where we were better. But the point is, I did all that I could do, and it still wasn't working. So I'm like, yo, what's wrong with me? Like, I have failed at this. I have failed at being a wife. I have failed at being a family woman. Sometimes I felt like a failure as a mom because it's like, now I'm raising you all, without a dad. And so, yeah, it was crushing. It was crushing. And I would say this might sound a little strange, but I think it was also freeing because it was the truth that this dream that I had, it came crumbling down, but realizing that this was my reality and actually owning up to that and being honest about that was also freeing. I think it was the beginning of my healing journey. It was the beginning of me saying, this isn't healthy and I need to get out of here. And so it was heartbreaking and it was freeing.
How has becoming a single mother, especially one who waited and did everything right, how has it reshaped the way that you see yourself and your story?
First of all, I think in so many ways it's reshaped the way I see myself and my story. Becoming a single mom, and it's interesting because I said this to my son the other day, because these little kids, they be watching TikTok and get these little phrases like, well, you chose to have kids. And it's like, yeah, I did, but I chose to have kids with a husband and with you having a father, right? And I think me being a single mom is not the part that I signed up for. It's what I inherited because I'm not going to walk away from my children, but despite what happened with my marriage. My children are my responsibility, and I'm going to raise them in the fair admonition of the Lord to the best of my ability. In terms of like reshaping how I see myself, my healing journey, myself as a woman, first I'll name that the fallout was not something that I was prepared for, because in addition to the fallout just from the marriage, falling apart, was the part that I didn't know was going to happen, which was that my ex-husband was going to decide that he was not going to be a part of my son's lives. And that was the part that I wasn't ready for that. So I kind of got thrust into single motherhood. And by being thrust into it, I had to be strong, right? I had to be more protective. I had to learn how to do some things that I wasn't necessarily doing when I was married and had, a spouse that was supportive. So I think I learned that I am strong. I learned that I am resilient. I learned that I do hard things. I love being a boy's mom. And it is also the very thing that keeps me prayerful, keeps me, praying to God, because it's tough. It's tough being a single mom, especially raising young Black boys in this world, and having to face that on a daily basis, to know that your parent is on this earth, your father is on this earth, but he has made a conscious decision to not be a part of your lives, and that I can't change that, right? No amount of emails, phone calls, texts has changed that to date, and that's the reality. And so I am carrying that that burden, and I am carrying the responsibility of both. And so it's continuing to unfold. And so I have no plans of walking away. I will continue to be the mom that I know God has called me to be. But it definitely is humbling, and it definitely is challenging.
What helped you to really begin to accept your new reality? And what does acceptance look like for you now?
So acceptance is such a powerful word, and it definitely is at the helm of my healing journey. I was watching an interview with Oprah Winfrey and Viola Davis. I always jack this quote up, but the quote was basically like, you know, something about just accepting that the past will not be any different, could not have been any different, right? Like understanding that, right? Acceptance is the key to being able to move forward, right? What happened in the past, that's what happened. It's not going to change. There's no way to redo it. It is what it is. And to get to a place where you are accepting of that. And so I think acceptance for me, that's what that looks like. Me looking at my marriage, it was what it was. It was good until it wasn't. It was, supportive until it wasn't, right? And it went on a continuum from being, solid and okay to a place that was a hellhole, to a place that was, filled with abuse, neglect, insecurity, manipulation, control, right? I could go on and on. And so there's nothing I could do to change that, right? I made whatever choices I made. My ex-husband made the choices that he made, and I had to ultimately make the choice to accept my marriage for what it was and what it wasn't, and then make a decision to move on and to divorce, because that was the best thing to do for both me and my children. And so I think acceptance is powerful for that reason. Sometimes we try to sit in a place of like woulda, shoulda, coulda, and I definitely was dwelling there for a little bit, right? What if I did this differently? Well, let's try a new therapist. Let's try this. But it's just like, if you don't have two willing souls, two willing participants wanting to put the work in, then basically you're just in a black hole. You're in an abyss, and it's not going to change. So acceptance literally helped me crawl out of a hole in a space where I was, praying that my reality was going to turn into a dream, that something was going to change. And not saying it couldn't have, because again, I'm big on faith, but that's just was not my reality. And so acceptance helped me to pull myself out of a hole, to shut out the noise, and to realize, baby, this is what it is. Okay, so take it for what it is and make a decision based on that, so that you can be in a place that is healthy for you and your sons.